Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony. Welcome to another edition of B&A Sports Talk. Now, a guy suggested in my recent video, like, you know what? Why is Daniel Jones disrespected? You know, he's like, PFF, they made a recent video talking about Daniel Jones, and I'm going to just play a quick clip here, and then we're going to react to it.
Correct. My point was not that he has only had one good game this year. My point was that one good game changes nothing in my outlook, right? If I thought he was X heading into this game, I still think he's X at the end of this game. Yeah, then there were a bunch of people that were like, apparently I need to couch every opinion I make on this podcast with, in my opinion, as opposed to that being self-evident because it's me talking on a podcast.
That's what Art said to you.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I've given many takes. Yeah. But my point is simply that it will not change based off one game against the Redskins who don't have a secondary.
I think with better, I think he's done a pretty good job with the offense, and I think if the defense adds some talent, they get a shot.
I think the commentary about Daniel Jones' situation is largely off. I think his situation actually isn't that bad at all. The critical thing that nobody thinks about regarding that is that quarterbacks affect their offensive line performance massively. So this idea of, a lot of people are like, well, he'll clean up the fumbles, right? Year two, he'll get better. He'll tidy it up. It's a ball security problem. Look at Lamar. Lamar fumbled a lot last year. Now he hasn't fumbling anymore. The difference there is that Lamar was legitimately fumbling in the course of carrying the ball. It was ball security, right? That the fumbles for Daniel Jones are not the disease. They are a symptom of the illness. That's not he'll get better at that thing. That was pitiful. You looked like a small child who got abused.
I change my Jones comp here. From Nick Foles, he's starting to look a little bit like Joe Flacco.
Yeah, well, this is his fourth game of the season where he's thrown 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. The first time anybody's ever done that. That's just a quirk of stats, right? Those are box score numbers that may or may not indicate good play. Now, he's had good games, but right now...
That was the Trubisky stat.
Right.
It was 17 qualifiers.
Exactly. So New Yorkers are not happy when they're happy. So it's important to put them back in a position which they feel comfortable, which is misery.
You're going to ruin their Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so both of them are like, Daniel Jones hasn't really shown us a lot. But the thing is, they're taking it week by week. They're like, well, from last week, he didn't really do a bunch. But if you look at the whole picture, his first couple games he did well. But then he played elite defenses in the Patriots and the Vikings. He played pretty good defenses. And against the Cardinals, he played well. Against the Packers, he played well. It's just that he had a couple of fumbles and stuff that didn't quite make us competitive in the game, and that's partially, I think, due to coaching and second half adjustments. But we were in a lot of these games. I have the confidence that Daniel Jones will be able to fight us into these games, like Eli Manning wasn't able to do. Eli Manning was just like, the defense can't let up more than 20 points, or Eli Manning won't be able to come back because he's playing this conservative style. Well, Daniel Jones wants to air it down the field. We've seen the vertical game. With Eli Manning, we had a bunch of, short intermediate routes, Odell with the famous, slant route. There weren't too many late developing routes with this. We had some with Odell, but it wasn't really too many late developing things because of this offensive line. Now, offensive line is getting better, but I want to focus on why Daniel Jones is being disrespected. And I think this has to do, obviously going back to college. A lot of people are like, Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins is better. And I think there's a little bit of a race component to this. Dwayne Haskins is black. You didn't want a black quarterback. Dwayne Haskins started 14 games in college. 14 games. And he was playing on Ohio State. Daniel Jones, a lot of people were looking at that one game against, I think, Wake Forest or something, where they lost 66-3. Let me tell you a thing about the college football. These guys, they're young. They're my age. They're 20 years old. They're dealing with things for the first time. They're dealing with girl situations. They're dealing with money. When you're in the NFL, you're grown up. You've, I guess you could say, you're living in a place for the first time together. But you have a bunch of older people, a bunch of veterans kind of guiding you in that locker room. In college, a lot of players are like, yeah, I'm not going to make the NFL. Only 3 players got invited to the combine from Duke this last offseason. One of them was Daniel Jones. So that just shows you how much talent they have. And with college, these guys, they give up. All of a sudden, do you think Daniel Jones gave up 66 points you think in the NFL your team's going to get out 66 points, and eventually it's just like, okay, we're down 40-3. We're not going to win this game. Let's just mail it in. I'm looking forward to the party after the game. With the NFL, they're playing for their livelihoods here. That's it. They're trying to put food on the table. With college, just like, at least I can get an education. I have free school. And that's that sort of thing. I have to focus on classes a little bit more. With the NFL, that's all you're focused on. So it's not really that much of a talent discrepancy either. With college, there's so many teams, and the pool is thinned out. So yeah, there's that. There's the racial component. You know what? Daniel Jones is white. You wanted a guy who looked like Eli Manning. Look at this team. We only had a black quarterback start for one game in our history, which was Geno Smith back when Eli Manning got benched. You don't want a black guy. That's just admit it. And then you have guys like Stephen A. Smith on air like, oh, this is a black thing. And Dwayne Haskins comes in, and he hasn't really shown much. He's improved. I'd say he's improved more from day one than Daniel Jones has. But Dwayne Haskins again only had 14 games to show in his college career. And is it an Urban Meyer thing? Is it a talent issue? Ohio State, all this talent. Terry McLaurin, Paris Campbell. Yeah, they had track stars running on the team. Daniel Jones didn't have anybody. And I always say, I'm gonna say this from now on. Any single time you say something bad about Daniel Jones, it's going to be I hope it's going to be played in his Hall of Fame induction ceremony, in his MVP talk, and his after his first Super Bowl. Realistically, my expectations about Daniel Jones, he's a 6th overall pick. You've had a bunch of busts at 6th overall. I just don't want him to suck. I don't want him to be Johnny Manziel, which is a very low bar. It is a very low bar. I don't want it to be Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles had one playoff run, and that was it. Now he's on the Rams, and he's going to lay the rest of his career being a backup. Okay, on the screen right now, I'm going to throw up some stats with rookie quarterbacks in their first year in recent memory. I'm not going to go all the way back to like Peyton Manning, but we're going to go see like Carson Wentz. Let's look at Blake Bortles and a couple guys like that, see how they did in their first years. So if you look at it, a lot of these quarterbacks weren't that successful, especially with Carson Wentz. He had a lot of mechanical issues. And Daniel Jones, so far, he's looking sound mechanically. He's shown up in big games, in big spots so far. He had those couple games earlier this year. He had a pretty good game against the Patriots. But, with Daniel Jones, if he gets, he's in the MVP conversation 1 year or 2 years. He has a couple years where he just makes some deep playoff runs. I'm fine with that. And I think every Giants fan should be fine with that too. He's the guy after the guy. Rarely does a guy after a guy is successful because there's a lot of pressure, and he's dealt with the pressure pretty well. He replaced Eli Manning, and now I think with Eli Manning retiring, I mentioned this a lot. He had that one great send-off game. Now is a bit of a relief. Daniel Jones got thrown into the fray like, now I have to be the savior of this team. No, just be Daniel Jones. Be the best Daniel Jones that you can be. Don't try to be Patrick Mahomes. Don't try to be Aaron Rodgers. Just focus every single day. And I think Daniel Jones has a good head on his shoulders. I think he was raised right. He was born in North Carolina, I want to say. He has nice relationships with Alex Tanney, Eli Manning. He went to a party with Eli Manning. He spent Thanksgiving with Alex Tanney's family. So he has a good head on his shoulders. He's had a good upbringing. Pat Shurmur. He has done a really good job teaching Daniel Jones his thing, but he's just focused too much on Daniel Jones and not the X's and O and challenges. 0-7 with challenges. Daniel Jones is going to be all right, and his criticisms I think are warranted. A lot of people didn't see this guy, a quarterback out of Duke. You hadn't seen that in a while. There's a lot of questions with him. And then you had a guy from Ohio State who was successful, like, Patrick Mahomes, like Dwayne Haskins. And people were like, that's the same thing with Mitch Trubisky and Deshaun Watson. You had Deshaun Watson be successful and with his, college football team. But the difference is with Deshaun Watson, he had a little bit more of an it factor. He played a couple more years in the NFL. And you had his coach saying he's going to be he's like Michael Jordan. So, and he was able to slay Alabama. Dwayne Haskins, he went to the Rose Bowl. That was it. He wasn't really that big of a deal. He played a couple of games. He did have an impressive start, I think, the year before when they won a big game to get into the playoff or something like that. I forget exactly what happened. So there was that. But, yeah, Dwayne Haskins, it wasn't like he was amazing. He had 50 touchdown passes, most since Drew Brees. It's really tough. And people were like, Daniel Jones, ACC, kind of like Mitch Trubisky. I think their play styles are very similar. I think that Mitch Trubisky has a little more running to his game than Daniel Jones does. And I think Mitch Trubisky needed a lot of running to help him with his passing. But Daniel Jones, he's just a pure pocket passer. He's more of a pure pocket passer than Mitch Trubisky. But it's still a high first-round draft pick. You know, and Daniel Jones is replacing a guy. Mitch Trubisky isn't replacing anybody, so there's no pressure on him. But again, Daniel Jones has a nice head on his shoulders. If he wins a little bit here, if he has, you know, a plus 500 record in his first 3 years, if he has, you know, a couple playoff victories before his first contract, that's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for. It's hard to win in the NFL, and the Giants haven't been winning. We haven't won anything pretty much since we won our last Super Bowl in 2011 to 2012 season. So, yeah, that's why I think Daniel Jones is being disrespected. I think it's going to be hard to let go because people made some really, really strong opinions. Unless you jumped off that opinion quickly after you saw Daniel Jones' first preseason games, it's going to be hard to adjust your thoughts. And a bunch of these guys are just looking at short-term stats. They're looking at, he played well this game, and he sucked this game. Again, it's a whole season. You got to look how they improved. You got to look at, you know, you can't look at game by game because then you don't see the whole picture. If you're like, this game didn't really prove much to me because we've seen it before. But then 3-4 of those games in a row, it's just like, here's the bigger picture here. Now you look at his overall. He was throwing up into wide open guys. I understand. The fundamentals are there. The smartness is there. The ability to recognize, mismatches and things like that. Already at such a young age, where guys like Dwayne Haskins and guys like, Kyler Murray's good at it, but younger guys, you see Will Grier not good at it, and you just got to be patient with Daniel Jones. He is a rookie. And you just got to look for improvement next year. Now, next year, you got to get some wins on the board. And that's where you really got to prove people wrong. But let me know, why do you guys think Daniel Jones is being disrespected? Do you think he deserves some of it? I do. He hasn't played perfect. And I think criticism helps people grow. If people are like, this guy's amazing. If everyone was saying this guy's amazing, that wouldn't be great either because it'd feed his ego. I think he has a good head on his shoulders in general, but you never know what, it could do to a guy like this. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll talk to you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.